Hi, I'm Paul Bailey, and this is the data manipulation portion of our introduction to PIAC. So we're going to talk about now three different methods of using manipulating data from EdSurvey as a data frame. So why do you need to manipulate data as a data frame? Well, some data sets are really large that EdSurvey can work with, and in particular, if you were to read in every country's data, you'd need you might not have enough memory. And so EdSurvey leaves the data on the disk. And then when an analysis is run, you read in only particular variables, run the analysis, and then finally it just stores the analysis as result. And because of that, what you read in is not a data frame. And so now I'm going to show you how to get a data frame out of it where you've already selected the variables that you want to keep. So the first method is to use a function called getData that's in EdSurvey. This returns a light EdSurvey data frame, which you can work with like a data frame, and it just has a few attributes that that EdSurvey will use to run subsequent analyses in the data. Um, so in order to follow along with us here, you're going to have to first require EdSurvey, set the data path to your PIAC files, and then read in the data for Germany, as I've done here in these three lines. If you've already been following along, you've already had all this done. Um, then I can call getData. So the first argument to getData is just the EdSurvey data frame that we're getting the data from. Then I have these five variables that are defined on the bottom of the slide, which are the gender, the age, and this keeping up to date variable. The literature, which is the scaled scores or plausible values, and then the weight variable. I have this other argument, add attributes equals true, so that adds the attributes that I said that allows you to do subsequent EdSurvey analyses, and then drop omitted levels equals false. So that means that all the data gets read in, even if it's missing on any of these survey response items. And then when I read in the overall weight, it reads in all of the replicate weights as well. And when I read in lit, obviously there is no single variable called lit. It reads in all the plausible value variables. The next method is to just use square braces. So you can just ask for the columns that you want, just like you would a normal data frame. And then this stat here, which is what we're defining, now is just a light EdSurvey data frame. And then there are a few modifications. It doesn't have the replicate weights. Literature would be expanded to all the plausible values, or lit would be expanded to all the plausible values. And it includes unused levels. So if a survey doesn't have a response level in Germany, it would still show up as a level in the factor. The third method is to use tidy EdSurvey. So we've already done this before, but you need to require tidy EdSurvey, and I recommend always doing that. And then you would require dplyr, because we're going to use dplyr verbs here. And then you can read in the data, and I recommend selecting first because that will make it run much faster. You select just the columns you want, and then here I do a filter. So I'm filtering to just those who are age 45 to 65. At the bottom, I have sort of a fourth method I can access data, which is just the $sign. And I'm just showing, if I want to remind myself of the levels, we've already shown you methods of doing that, but you can also just create a table using the $sign and a variable name. And that is this topic.